Hello everyone, I'm Brazen Eagle, and thank you for joining me here. So today, we're going to go revisit an older article that I did a little bit ago from the Daily Mail. The first part of this article was about Amanda Platel and how she is now alone, being old, with no family, and no children in her life. But this is part 2. Sorry, but I'd rather live alone than settle for Mr. Second Best by Andrea Busfield. The first time I encountered him, I was transfixed, rugged and brooding. He showed me how all-consuming love could be. I was only 9 when Emily Brunt's Heathcliff ruined me for all normal men. Lying on the sofa with a fever, I'd watched the film Portrayal with Timothy Dalton. When I read the novel, a few years later, I knew that if I was going to lose my heart to someone, this was how it was going to be. And apparently this is a picture of Andrea Busfield, who says she'd rather live alone than settle for Mr. Second Best. She either wants it all or nothing. Heathcliff's love was bitter, greedy, and eternal. I had no sympathy for his inamorata, Catherine, when she died. She settled for less by choosing a more conventional partner and got what she deserved. I would have waited for Heathcliff. In fact, I've spent a lifetime waiting for him. But while at 49, god dang, 49, she's alone, childless, and possibly destined to remain that way. I would far rather be single than settle. Because while 4 decades on, I recognize that Heathcliff is not the greatest ambassador for love. I can't relinquish the all-or-nothing ideal he represents, though. After Heathcliff came Mr. Rochester, Mr. Darcy, Rhett Butler, and Ragnar Lothbrok from Vikings. In short, I yearn for strong, silent, and fearless, and she won't settle for anybody less. Occasionally, I have even come across it. I have been in love several times, once deeply, yet it has never been quite enough. Should I settle for less, rather than end up on my own? Well, at 49, you're pretty much going to be alone for the rest of your life. But now, never, you see. It's the less that scares me, not the being alone. After all, according to the experts, some experts, unmarried and childless women are the happiest subgroup in the population, which is untrue. And that's because our happiness depends pretty much on us alone, which kind of partially is true. We don't battle the same constraints as mothers and married women's. And we don't have to deal with the disappointment of living with the wrong man. Oh no, not the wrong man! In his book, Happy Ever After, Paul Doolan, a professor at the London School of Economics, looked at evidence offered by the American Time Youth Survey, which compared levels of pleasure and misery in unmarried, married, divorced, separated, and widowed individuals. While men largely benefited from marriage, which is a lie, middle-aged women married were at a higher risk of physical and mental illness than their single counterparts. I don't know about that. Yet the belief that unmarried, childless women are to be pitied persists because it's true. Although I can't say I feel stigmatized, I have come across people who may find my single state hard to understand or accept, because they know and understand reality. I was once pursued, via online messages, by a former school friend who seemed to think that we'd be good together by virtue of us both liking to write, so you have something in common, it sounds like. We hadn't set eyes on each other for nearly 2 decades. I tried to let him down gently, only to receive the plaintive cry, "Why are you scared of love?" What to say? I'm not scared of love. In fact, quite the contrary. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Not a pale imitation I've plumped out for desperation. She wants extremely hot, fierce attraction to an individual man that don't need a single woman. My first love was a man called Jimmy. He was older than me, worldly wise and kind of brooding. But I was only 16, and in the end he seemed to prefer his women a little less naive. Next came John. He was also tall, dark, and handsome. And he came from the north. Bonus! But after 4 or 5 months of dating, my belief in the eternity of love was somewhat shattered by John's reluctance to settle down. He was only 24. Who could blame him? I dried my tears and decided to move right on. Shortly afterwards, I found a new love, my career. There followed brief love affairs as I chased my professional goals. It wasn't until she was 37, dang, that my priorities changed. I met my most recent partner while working in Afghanistan as a journalist. He was an Austrian soldier, and in his spare time he rescued people from the Alps. What a wondrous man. He was, no doubt still is, a strong, handsome, intelligent, and remarkable man, and at no point did I have cause to doubt his love for me. But as she turned 42 or 43, she knew she wasn't happy. She had moved to Austria to be with him and began to feel restless. Whatever we had was no longer working. Children weren't the issue, nor the usual irritations that come with being a couple. My disquiet came from somewhere deeper. Although there was love, it didn't feel fierce enough. It wasn't enough for me to stay there. So she left Austria, and after a period of grieving, also left this strange state of half happiness. She was either going to be completely happy or completely unhappy. From what I hear, though, my ex-partner is now loved up with an Austrian woman. I can't pretend it doesn't hurt, but in a way, it justifies my decision to leave. Ooh. When Heathcliff returned to the Yorkshire moors to find Catherine had married Edgar Linton, he didn't shrug his shoulders and move on with his life. No, he married Edgar's sister and made everyone's life a misery until Catherine died. How wonderful. Admittedly, I'm still being flippant here, but I do get the sentiment. True love doesn't move on. It conquers or destroys. Ooh, man, she is living in La La Land. I'm sure many will believe that I'm a childish idealist. Oh, you definitely are. But having worked as a war reporter and investigative journalist for many years, I'm no stranger to reality, which she doesn't exist in apparently. And that's why I won't barter with it in my personal life. There can be no compromise. It's the real deal or no deal. Ooh. Sounds like someone doesn't want to ever have kids. I look at my parents' marriage and envy their devotion. They found each other early, and I'm sure when they met they didn't expect too much from each other, which gave their relationship breathing space to grow. Well, I would probably say that older people's marriages generally lasted more often because there were social expectations, as well as legal ramifications. But anyways, in contrast, I probably expected too much, but no one has to wrestle with these expectations except me, and I'm fine with just me if Heathcliff never materializes, which he will not, because no attractive man would ever want to settle down with a 49-year-old woman. The only exception to a man wanting to settle with a 49-year-old woman would be a guy maybe in his 60s, maybe 70s, who might be able to get a 49-year-old woman. But you know what? Andrea here, she's just acting like a normal female. It's in her nature. She either wants someone who is above her or will not settle down for anyone that she feels is inferior to her. Like I said, she's 49. She's childless and, of course, because of her age, remain biologically childless for the rest of her life. She even says that she'll only settle down for a guy that is so attractive that he will be able to attract someone younger than her and most likely better than her. Andrea Busfield has chosen to be permanently unhappy and unfulfilled. It's not any man's fault. It is Andrea's choice to do this. Now, she tries to bring up that some studies have shown that unmarried and childless women are the happiest in the population, which sounds untrue. Data can always be skewed to push a position or ideology. Do you know why? It's because she also brings up that men supposedly benefit from marriage and that women who are married are worse off, which of course is false. When people bring up that men are better off in marriage, you gotta realize that the married demographic is stacked against all other men, including divorced men, never married men, widowed men, and more. Men who are married have to work harder and have to work more hours than unmarried men because they have to. If married men don't make at least a little bit more money each year, the woman or their marriage partner won't feel as attracted to her husband. Now, Andrea Busfield here has said that she has had boy toys in the past and that it was herself that chose to be single. Let's see, when she said she turned 37, which I might add is a dangerous time for a woman to even have children, she met some Austrian guy but eventually broke up because she wasn't attracted to him anymore. She wasted 5 or 6 years in a relationship and left because, and I quote, "Although there was love, it didn't feel fierce enough," end quote. This female is just looking for the emotional high of attraction to be present at every single stage of a relationship. That type of attraction doesn't always last. This woman, Andrea, like all women, because they all have the same female nature, have their eyes and ears out for more and more. That is the constant of female nature. They always want more. If you can't constantly make her attracted to you all the time, then she will, or she has a higher probability to leave, even if you are a great guy and you are literally the perfect guy within like 100 miles. Now, I do like that Andrea Busfield brings a great paragraph regarding female nature. I'm sure many will believe that I'm a childish idealist, but having worked as a war reporter and investigative journalist for many years, I'm no stranger to reality, and that's why I won't barter with it in my personal life. There can be no compromise. It's the real deal or no deal. Andrea would rather be with a guy that is superior enough to her than be with someone that is her supposed equal or even inferior to her. It's just in female nature. You could replace Andrea with any other woman. Women will never settle down for a supposedly lesser male. They will only marry up or not marry at all. But with that in mind, thank you guys very much for watching. I'm Brazen Eagle, and I hope you do have a great day.